welcome back to Mini Urban Farm, a channel about gardening and homesteading in the suburbs. I'm so excited for this video. One, because I have all my seeds that I will be planting out for the upcoming season, but also because we're doing a giveaway today. So I have additional seeds that I will also be giving away. I'm not going to share the front of the seed packets yet because we will be going through them as I go through my seeds. However, if you stay to the end of the video, you can see the full contest rules, all of that stuff, and let's just jump right into it. Alright, so let me start off by saying that the seeds I have chosen for this season are especially special to me because I am going to be starting them and transferring a lot of them to our food forest. So I have chosen the normal things, you know, our crops that will grow in our garden behind us, but I've also chosen a lot of things that are perennials that we can put out in the food forest on the other property that we have, just kind of leave them and see how they do. So a lot of these things you may not have heard of before, but because I've never heard of them before, but I'll do my best to explain. So the first one that I am super excited about is moringa. All right, and I promise the other ones are a little bit less exotic than this one, I think. But this is moringa. It is a tree, actually. I think it's like a dwarf. This one's a dwarf variety. I think they do get kind of big. The leaves look like that, if you can see them, but it grows very fast, and this is actually called the tree of life. It's grown all around the world. It's very fast growing, and it's so good for you, right? So you harvest the leaves, you can harvest the seed pods, and it has like some superfood qualities, all of that. So I mean, it is oh, and it says high protein leaves here on the back, and it does say that it requires full sun, so I will be planting this out in a sunny space in the food forest, but I'm definitely very excited to see how this grows, because I want to say, let me see, there's I think like, oh, there's 10 seeds in here, so I will probably be trying to grow all of them for the food forest. However, this is the very first one that I have chosen for the giveaway as well. It would be moringa from Baker Creek Seeds. Alright, so next up, of course, I have to have my Roma tomatoes. So these are also from Baker Creek, and actually I think all of these here that I'm holding are from Baker Creek. I don't think I ordered from anywhere else this year. This is not in any way, shape, or form a collaboration with the seed company. These are ones that I have chosen on my own. So these are Roma tomatoes. I use these for paste. I have some growing right there behind me. I actually planted out several of them at the beginning of fall 2021, and I have 2 or 3 left, so I did not put them ahead of time. I didn't start them ahead of time. I just put them in the ground and had them direct sown, which would not be my recommended way to start seeds, but because I was starting seeds late, that's just the way I did it. I definitely will be starting these in the greenhouse and then potting them up so that I can save most of the tomatoes for spaghetti sauce and marinara and pizza sauce, that sort of thing. So what I do with this is I take this, I combine it with garlic, crush it all down, you know, add some herbs and all that, and then eventually I freeze it and we have pasta sauce for the next season. And I almost forgot to say that this is also on my list of seeds to give away. Alright, so next up is our green beans. This is a variety that I am currently growing. I'm getting a really good harvest out of it. It is Bush Lake beans. I think it's called Blue Lake bush beans. There you go. So also from Baker Creek. I have loved these this season. They have produced so fast. They're one of the very first things that popped up in the garden this year, or this season rather, in the new garden. And they have a really good green bean taste. They're stringless, so you don't have that like kind of weird experience when you're eating them, like you would with pole beans. But yeah, this is probably one of my favorite green beans to grow so far, and I'm very excited to grow these again. And this season, I will also be adding some yellow beans. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. I do speak a little bit of French, but I think I would just butcher that one. So these are yellow beans. They're like a wax bean. And so these are French wax beans. I have grown wax beans before and I love them. I've never grown this variety, but I'm expecting them to grow pretty much the same as the green beans and not have really too many issues. Yeah, really excited to be adding into our bean collection. Alright, so this one, pimiento peppers. Alright, I have kind of like a history with this type of pepper because my family is Cuban and we actually cook with a lot of pimientos, right? A lot of the peppers that are like canned, right, or in a jar, right? That's what we use to add to like arroz con pollo and a lot of other like Spanish type dishes. So I will be trying to can this year, or at the very least freezing it, right? Because I want to be able to use it the same way that my family has historically used it in our cooking. So this one I'm very excited about. They're a pretty small pepper. I think they're like maybe that big or so. The description says 3 to 4 inches wide and just 1.5 inches long. So they're kind of like squatty. I don't think you can tell from the description. But in addition to this, I will be saving the seeds so that I can continue to grow them. They do well in the heat, just like pretty much every other pepper. And I have also chosen to include this one in the giveaway just because I love this pepper and it's something that my family uses a lot. So that will be in the giveaway package as well. All right, so next up are cherry tomatoes. These are like sweet, large cluster cherry tomatoes. I think it's pronounced Raisentraub, not sure, also from Baker Creek. So these are supposed to be really good for like a good high yielding cherry tomato with really large clusters. I have never grown this before. These are not the varieties that I have currently growing in my garden. I have bumblebee tomatoes and then another cherry tomato I can't really remember the name of every time somebody asks me, but I'm not sure if I'm going to actually be using these this season. I did buy them to start them, and I might actually still start them and maybe sell them, but we have cherry tomatoes growing. We have 2 different varieties of cherry tomatoes, which even now still have not produced any fruit. They have green tomatoes on them. It's definitely my fault. I started them very, very late, which is why they don't, they're not producing fruit yet, but these are indeterminate varieties of cherry tomatoes, and they will just keep growing weather permitting, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be killing them off. We have had some pretty cold weather, but they're still growing pretty strong, and I suspect that as we get into spring, it's only going to get better. So, and I think that I will probably just be leaving the ones I have. I'm not sure I have a room for these, but we will see. And I will just say that this season, even though I have a whole bunch of seeds that I bought, I am going to be starting them and trying to fit them in the garden, but I am not sure that everything will fit, because one thing that happens this season past, right, a lesson learned from fall 2021, which we're still growing from this season, it's been hard to get like an actual harvest of one thing, right? We get a harvest of green beans that we can actually eat, but it's not like we're getting a harvest of tomatoes and green beans and all of these other things. We definitely are growing all of our own salad greens, all of our own herbs, and that works out really well. But I want to maybe reduce the number of varieties I have in here so that we get a good harvest of something. That is one of the trade-offs of growing in a small space. You want to grow everything like I did last season. I started so many things, and a lot of things are doing really well, but it's not enough to produce something or save for later. And one of my goals for 2022 is to be able to save things for later, to preserve them either by freezing them or eventually canning them. And if you're growing things in a small space and you have 20 million varieties, like I did last season, and honestly I bought a whole bunch of things this season too, I think what I'm going to try to do is maybe limit the number of things to see if I can maximize the yield. Which brings me to cucumbers. So these cucumbers I have wanted to grow for so long. I have this thing with cucumbers that I try different varieties. Like, I'm not really attached to one variety of cucumber the same way that I am with like my Roma tomatoes or my cherry tomatoes. These are lemon cucumbers, so if you can see, like, they don't really look like cucumbers. They're kind of like lemon looking and yellow. It's supposed to have like a really good yellow or a really good lemon, like a sweet lemon flavor. So a few seasons ago I tried sour gherkins, which are like the tiny little ones, which are super cute, adorable, but I don't really feel like I got a good cucumber out of them, right? They're good for like salads and just for like popping in your mouth when you're in the garden, but other than that, like, I didn't really get the cucumber experience, I guess you can say. We'll see if the same thing happens with this, but either way, I think I'll try to grow this because I do have some trellising space, right? Like, not too many things are actually trellising up this 40-foot trellis here. So maybe I'll try to actually grow these. If not, then I will be just keeping hold of them. A lot of things are going out of stock. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but things are getting significantly more expensive. And one of the things that is happening is you're not able to find certain things, one of which is seeds, because a lot of people are getting into homesteading lately and growing their own food. So I thought, if they're here, they're available, I will hold on to them and hoard them, put them in my seed box. And even if I don't grow them this season, I have them to grow for the new dream house garden. But yeah, I think there's like 25 seeds in here. And so maybe I'll try to grow a few of them. And of course, because I'm so excited about this one, I got 2 packets, one for myself and one for the giveaway. All right, so I am going to combine these four because they kind of fall into the same category here, which is my salad greens. So I have my Swiss chard, Vulcan Swiss chard. This is just a really good, reliable Swiss chard. It has really good flavor. I think it's really pretty because it's like got that deep red color. I'm currently growing it in my garden. It is right there. That is all Swiss chard. The same thing with arugula. So this is just regular arugula. It has like a peppery kind of flavor. I love adding this to salads. It's just a really easy thing to grow. I mean, for the most part, Swiss chard is too, but arugula seeds, you just kind of like throw them everywhere. I never even cover them, and then you just grow. It's insane how easy it is to grow arugula. I do have arugula growing. I have a whole bunch of arugula actually growing in my garden right now, so I'm not sure if I'm going to plant this out, like actually start it again from seeds, because that would have, like, I would have to rip out everything and then replant it. The same with the Swiss chard. So what I might do and see if that works before I start these seeds, because all, you know, this can be direct sown. What I think I might do is cut everything down, right? Like cut off all of the leaves for the arugula and the Swiss chard, and then maybe that'll prompt it to grow like all new leaves, which it should, and then I'll just keep harvesting those baby leaves, because what happens with arugula especially is that once you let it grow, right, like when the plant matures and it starts bolting and the leaves get really big, it gets really, really bitter. So you don't really want to harvest the bitter leaves that you can't really eat, or, I mean, you can eat them, but it's not my preferred taste. You're supposed to harvest baby leaves for the most part. The same thing with pretty much all salad greens. So once they get, you know, hard and bitter, I give them to the chickens. I will go and maybe cut the entire crop down and see if we can just get like a fresh crop, and then in this case I will just save those. And the same thing with my red mustard. So I also have this growing in the garden right now, Japanese giant red mustard. It is just a great thing to grow. So I do cook with this, right? You can saute it and use it in casseroles and stuff like that. I also use it a lot as salad greens, and you can also make pesto out of this. And I am going to try and make some. I've never made it before, but I read that you can make it, so I might be trying to make pesto out of this. And one thing that I think I will do this season, because I want to have actual mustard, not just the mustard greens, and the way that you get mustard is you let the plant go to seed, and then you harvest those seeds, you crush them, and then you can make mustard, like actual, like hot dog mustard with it. So I think I might let my plants go to seed this season, and then cut them out and then just reharvest this. It has a really, really good flavor. It is somewhat spicy, the bigger leaves, like right, the longer you let the leaves grow and the bigger the leaves get, the spicier it gets. So if you like the spicy flavor, like continue to let them grow. I generally like that flavor, so I kind of let them grow, but I also harvest like the smaller leaves if it's like, you know, for the table with other people or to give to the kids or something like that. And the chickens also really like this. So of course, because this is something that is near and dear to my heart, it is also on my list for the giveaway. And I think whoever gets these is going to be pleasantly surprised, just like I was. Alright, and the last of my salad greens is my kale. This is the same variety I have in my garden right now. It is Dazzling Blue Kale. This variety of kale actually I found is my new favorite. Last time I think I grew like Russian red kale or something like that. This is the first time I'm growing it. It's like right behind the Swiss chard over there. But I did the same thing, like you just kind of like scatter the seeds. They're really small, and I don't even cover them or anything, and it's one of the first thing that pops up because, I mean, it's kale, it's pretty hardy. It's cold hardy, right? I've found that it's also really good in the heat. Like, it doesn't have any issues, and the number one thing that is different than any other type of kale I found is that it doesn't have any pests yet. Like, the entire season, I have not seen a single pest on it. Where in my last garden at the old house, I had red Russian kale, I think it was called, and it was covered in aphids. All right, up until this point, I have not had a problem with this kale, so I will definitely be growing this again. I might do the same thing where I'm cutting it. However, kale does tend to like grow upwards, right? So the stalks like get pretty tall. I might end up just ripping all the kale out of here and reseeding. Also because I've grown a lot of kale this season, I have like a good 3 square feet of kale, and that's probably a little bit much for me, and I might just rip some of it out and plant it over in a smaller space. That way I can use the space better. We have a lot of salad greens, and I want to be able to have like more beans and more tomatoes and more things that actually like you can use as a side dish on a plate. So definitely recommend the Dazzling Blue Kale, one of my favorites. Alright, so that was it for my salad greens. Now moving on, I'm not really sure how would classify this. I think it's a fruit. I have grown this before and I love it. It does take over, so I will not be growing it in this garden behind me. I'll be growing it on our food forest where it can just reseed itself until its little heart is content, and it is my Aunt Molly's ground cherry. Now, I love the flavor of this. I know people who hate the flavor of this. It is an acquired taste. To me, it tastes like a cross between a pineapple and like some citrusy, but it has the consistency of like a tomato, so it's definitely an acquired taste. I grew it last year, 2021, in my garden, and after I ripped it up, I was still finding volunteer plants. Like, it reseeds itself so easily, and you see it has like paper kind of things around it, and so you peel those back and it it leaves you with like that little yellow tomato looking thing in the middle, and you have to wait until they drop from the plants. So the entire plant will kind of like spread itself. It'll grow these little things on it, the fruit, and then the fruit will drop, and then you collect them from the floor, which makes it really easy for it to reseed itself, because if you miss one, it's already on the floor and just volunteering itself all over the place, which is exactly what I hope it does in the food forest. That way we have tons of this and I don't ever have to plant it ever again. I love this so much that I bought 2 of them, and I will be including them in our giveaway because, I mean, why not? It's something that I really like to grow, and they're really fun to peel back, and the kids love them, and yeah, why not? Alright, so I have also bought a whole bunch of other things that I will be planting out as herbs in the food forest. I think pretty much all of these. I will go through them one by one. The first of which is mint. Mainly for tea, because I like mint tea, and also mojitos, which generally I make with spearmint, but this will do just fine. This is just Mountain Mint there's a cup of tea right on the front of it. So I really like mint tea, and that's pretty much the main reason that I am choosing to plant this out. But the benefits of this in a food forest like environment is that it is a great pollinator, right? Like, it's a great pollinator plant. It brings beneficial species. It also is deer resistant because they don't like the smell, right? Like, a lot of animals that would eat my other fruit trees and my other crops don't like the smell of things like this, like mints and really like strong smelling things. So hopefully this will keep deer away while also giving me great mojitos, great tea, and I'm just really excited to grow this one. So I have grown mint before. Oh, and I just realized it does say right here on the packet that mammals will not bother it because of its strong smell. I'm not sure if you can read that, but it says it right there, which makes it a great thing if you're looking to plant your own food forest, or maybe like more permaculture design. If you have a problem with like squirrels or deer or something like that, plant some of this around whatever it is that you're trying to protect. All right, so next up is my purple ball basil. I've never grown purple basil before. I have grown different varieties of basil. This is just a really pretty variety of basil. I will make a confession. I'm not a fan of different types of basil, right? Like, I like certain types of basil, but I'm not a fan of Thai basil. I have grown Thai basil before, and I not regret growing it, right? Because you don't regret growing things, but it's not something that I was able to use because I just don't like the way it tastes. So I've never tried this. Hopefully I will like it. And then if I don't like it, either way, it'll probably be going in the food forest. And it hopefully has a smell strong enough to keep other things away. And I mean, the whole purpose of the food forest that I'm growing on the other property is not necessarily to only grow things I like, but to grow things that bring pollinators, right? Like a lot of these fragrant things do, is to, make the soil better. And if I don't like it, then, I'm sure I'll have a lot of it because it does reseed itself if nothing eats it. And then just have a variety of different things, and it is ultimately very pretty. You can make an entire floral arrangement out of this like they have there. All right, next up is Agastache, I think is how you say that. I've never even heard of this before, but I saw it on the Baker Creek website and I just had to have it. Mainly, I will be using this for tea, which is, I think, what it's supposed to be used for, but also because it is a really good perennial plant and it is irresistible to hummingbirds and bees, which we are trying to attract to the food forest. So I will be starting this out. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to start it. If you can start it like in the greenhouse, the seeds seem to be very tiny. I can barely even feel them. So it might need to be direct sown, in which case I'll just take it over there and direct sow it. But you can make tea out of this, and it's supposed to have like a really citrusy scent. It has all of those really pretty like orange flowers. So yeah, hopefully that'll do really well. And we're in Florida. This says it thrives in poor soil, and the soil in the food forest isn't necessarily poor because it's a forest, right? And we've cleared it off, so we have a decent soil over there. But anything that thrives in poor soils hopefully will do a lot better over there. And following that is our thyme. Now this isn't regular thyme, it is Orangelo thyme, which I had also never heard of before, but I love my lemon thyme. So this says it's supposed to be really good for like a creeping herb, which is perfect for the food forest, right? You want it to spread and be a natural environment. It's supposed to also be like a really good ground cover that can take light foot traffic. So perfect for walkways or anything that you're like, you know, I'm not going to be in the food forest every day, but if I walk on top of it, it's not going to completely die. And also, I mean, I can't smell it clearly because it is a picture, but I can almost imagine how citrusy that would smell. I love my lemon thyme and I use it all the time. So hopefully the orange thyme will be the same. And if not, it's just going to be smelling like citrus between this and the agache in the food forest. All right, on those same lines, along with my citrus scented herbs, is limoncello lemon balm. So this is a really good like lemon scent. I have smelled this before. I've tasted this before. I've never grown it before, but it has like a really strong scent, and it does say excellent ground cover. So if you're seeing a pattern here, it's because in the food forest I want to be able to walk around and not worry about like, oh my god, I'm stepping on a whole bunch of plants and killing things. And I think this also spreads. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming it does because it says ground cover. So I'm looking for a lot of things that spread. That way I can cover a whole bunch of square footage and not have to buy a whole lot of plants. So this will be going in the food forest, and I might actually just keep this here also like in a pot or something because it's really good for tea. And I mean, it just looks so pretty. So I think I'll also keep a set or two here. All right, so my last one is parsley, which sounds basic, but this is actually moss curled parsley, which is one of my favorite varieties of parsley, also from Baker Creek. I have grown this before, and I like this. I wouldn't say more than the flat leaf parsley that I grow. I grow Italian, I think it's like flat leaf or giant flat leaf parsley or something, and that's really good for cooking and preserving and all of that. But I like the taste of this. To me, they taste just a tiny bit different, and I think this one tastes better in eggs, and I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe that's just in my head or something. But it is really pretty. It grows like that curly parsley, you know, it's not like the normal parsley that you would see in the grocery store. Although I think maybe I have seen this in the grocery store, but I like this, and it grows really fast, really easily, and it's just a really good cooking variety. Culinary wise, I think I like this probably a little bit better than the other one. I meant to grow it this season, and I thought I had a packet of them, and I just didn't. So I will be starting some of these too. We are going to be overrun with parsley because I have parsley coming out of the beds. I have parsley growing like weeds on the floor. I mean, I have an abundance of parsley, and I think I'm probably gonna add to that this season. All right, so let's talk about this giveaway. I'm very excited. This is something that I've wanted to do for a long time because I love growing new varieties and I like sharing them with my family and my friends, and I am very excited to share with all of you guys. Just to recap, I will read off the list of all of them again, everything that I am going to be giving away, and then I will get into the rules for the giveaway. So actually, before we start these, I will also be including some acorn squash seeds from my own garden, and I will also be including some lemon balm seeds, or lemon basil seeds from my garden, because that's something that I grow pretty much every season and I love it now. I use it for tea, it's really good for cooking, and it grows so easily. So I will also be sending those 2 packets of seeds in addition to these ones. The first of which is the red mustard that I have here from Baker Creek. We have our lemon cucumber, which I'm really excited to try growing, so hopefully you guys will too. We have our Roma tomato, which is a staple in my garden, and a lot of my friends who grow, also a staple crop in their garden. Pimiento, so Ashe County pimiento peppers, which my family cooks with a lot, so just want to share that piece with you guys. Also, Aunt Molly's ground cherry, because I love the taste of this, and to me it's so unique, and a lot of people have not heard of this. So just trying to share new varieties. This one though, if you are going to grow it in your garden, be prepared to have volunteers and for it to spread prolifically, good and bad. And then also the moringa, the tree of life superfood, great all around, high protein crop that you can cook with so many different things. So those are the things that I am going to be giving away. The rules for the giveaway are: you have to subscribe to my channel, so go ahead and click the red button there underneath the video to subscribe. And then also in the comments below, tell me which one of these, plus the lemon basil and plus the acorn squash, which one of these you are most excited to grow if you were to win the giveaway, right? So out of all these things, say I am most excited to grow moringa because I've never heard of it, or I'm most excited to grow Aunt Molly's ground cherry, or whichever one it is that you're most excited to grow. So every comment that has a I'm most excited to grow will be one entry for the giveaway. So next Friday, January 28th, I will be announcing the one winner of the giveaway. It is only open to participants in the United States. I'm sorry if you're not in the United States, but that is where I'm able to ship the seeds to. So open to US participants only. This is not affiliated with YouTube or with any seed company. I have purchased all of these seeds by myself and will be sharing them with you. I will leave the entire, all of the legal and, that kind of stuff in the description with the contest rules. But yeah, I will be sharing the winner for next Friday during that video that I publish. Don't forget to subscribe, comment on which one you're most excited for, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!